There is a stretch of coastline in southern Italy that has been making people lose their minds for 2,000 years. Roman emperors built palaces on it. Painters ran out of colors trying to describe it. Writers arrived for a week and stayed for a decade. John Steinbeck came to Positano in 1953 and wrote that it is a dream place that isn't quite real when you are there and becomes beckoningly real after you have gone. He was not wrong. The Amalfi Coast does something to people. Something that has nothing to do with Instagram and everything to do with the way light falls on white buildings above turquoise water, the way lemon groves smell in the morning heat, the way the road clings to the cliff edge as though gravity is merely a suggestion here. This is not a hotel ranking or a packing list. This is the Amalfi Coast as it actually exists. Dramatic, beautiful, ancient, and completely worth every hour of effort it takes to get there. From the vertical streets of Positano to the blue waters of Capri, from the cathedral square of Amalfi Town to the quieter villages most tourists drive straight past. From the first sip of limoncello on a sun-warmed terrace to the fish that was swimming this morning and is on your plate tonight. This is the Amalfi Coast in 20 minutes. The overview. The Amalfi Coast, the Costiera Amalfitana, runs for roughly 50 kilometers along the southern edge of the Sorrentine Peninsula in Italy's Campania region. It connects Positano in the west to Vietri sul Mare in the east, passing through Preano, Amalfi, and Ravello, and dozens of smaller villages clinging to cliffs that drop hundreds of meters straight into the Tyrrhenian Sea. The entire coastline is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, recognized not just for its natural beauty, but for the extraordinary human achievement of building a civilization on terrain this vertical and this unforgiving. The coast was, for centuries, one of the most powerful maritime republics in the Mediterranean. The Republic of Amalfi, at its height in the 9th and 10th centuries, traded with Constantinople, North Africa, and the entire Middle East. It had its own legal code that governed maritime commerce across the Mediterranean long after the Republic itself faded. What remains is a coastline shaped by that history. Terraced lemon groves carved into near vertical cliffs, medieval watchtowers on every promontory, ceramics workshops in ancient alleyways, and a pride that comes from knowing your ancestors built something extraordinary in one of the most challenging landscapes on Earth. The SS-163, the Amalfitana Road, is one of the most scenic drives in the world, and also one of the most stressful, barely wide enough for 2 cars in many sections, cut into the cliff face. With hairpin turns requiring buses to execute 3-point turns, while oncoming traffic waits at the edge of a several hundred-meter drop. The best way to move between towns is by ferry. Boats connect Positano, Amalfi, and Salerno regularly throughout the day, and arriving at any town from the water, watching the buildings stack up the cliff face as you approach, is one of the definitive travel experiences in Europe. Come in May or June, warm enough to swim, before the peak crowds arrive. September and October are equally excellent, the light going golden in the afternoons. July and August are beautiful and completely overwhelming. If you come then, arrive early everywhere, eat late, and choose your ferry times carefully. Positano, the vertical village. Positano is the photograph everyone has seen. Pastel buildings in pink and terracotta, stacked up a near vertical cliff above a small beach. Bougainvillea spilling over every railing, fishing boats on dark sand. The dome of the Church of Santa Maria Assunta gleaming in majolica tiles of yellow and green. The photograph does not lie. What it cannot convey is that the entire town is essentially a very long staircase, and navigating it requires either excellent knees or a relaxed relationship with uphill walking. Because almost nothing is accessible by car, Positano has maintained a pedestrian intimacy that most coastal towns of its fame have long since lost. You walk everywhere, pass through narrow archways and flower-covered passages, discover a ceramics shop at the bottom of a flight of stairs with no sign above it, find a restaurant terrace that appears from below to be floating above the sea. The Spiaggia Grande, the main beach, is the center of Positano's social life. The water is clean and extraordinarily clear. That particular Mediterranean blue that seems color-corrected, but is not. Swim out far enough to turn around and look at the cliff behind you. The whole town stacked above the beach, and you will understand why Steinbeck could not find adequate words. For the best view of Positano, walk up to the Church of Santa Maria Assunta and continue up the Via dei Mulini until the town drops away below you and the sea opens up on the other side. Early morning, before the heat builds and before the tour groups arrive, this walk is something close to perfect. The shopping here is genuinely worth your time. Positano has been a center for handmade sandal making for decades. Sandali artigianali, crafted to order in small workshops, fitted to your foot, ready in an hour. Ceramics painted in the bright patterns of the southern Italian tradition are everywhere, and the quality in the better shops is extraordinary. Eat at La Tagliata, up in the hills above the town, a family-run restaurant. No menu, just a sequence of dishes that keeps arriving until you physically cannot eat more. Pasta with local clams. Grilled fish from the morning's catch. Eggplant parmigiana that will permanently reset your understanding of what eggplant parmigiana can be. Limoncello poured without asking at the end of the meal. Go hungry. Go with time. Capri, the island that invented glamour. Capri sits in the Bay of Naples, technically not part of the Amalfi Coast, but impossible to separate from any honest conversation about this coastline. The island is 5 kilometers long and 3 wide, composed almost entirely of limestone rising steeply from the sea, and it has been associated with luxury and escapism since Emperor Augustus visited in 29 BC and was so enchanted he traded the larger island of Ischia for it. His successor Tiberius went further. He moved his entire imperial court here and ruled the Roman Empire from Capri for the last decade of his life. The island operates in 2 registers. Capri Town, up on the ridge above the Marina Grande, is the glamorous version. The Piazzetta at its center functioning as one of the world's great open-air drawing rooms, surrounded by cafes where beautiful people have been watching other beautiful people for over a century. Hermes, Prada, and Cartier have boutique steps from a medieval clock tower. Anacapri, on the island's upper plateau, is quieter. Whitewashed houses, terraced gardens, a church with a majolica tile floor depicting scenes from the New Testament. Take the chairlift from Anacapri to Monte Solaro, the island's highest point, and look out over the entire bay. Ischia to the west, the Sorrentine Peninsula curving east, the Amalfi Coast visible on the far shore, the limestone cliffs dropping into water, the color of something that should not exist in nature. The Blue Grotto, the Grotta Azzurra, is the most extraordinary thing on the island. A sea cave accessible only by small rowing boat through an entrance so low that passengers must lie flat as the boatman pulls through by grabbing a chain fixed to the cave wall. Inside, the light enters through an underwater opening, filtering up through the water and illuminating the entire cave in a luminescent electric blue that has no comparison in the natural world. The water glows. The walls glow. Your hands dipped in the water glow blue. The boatmen sing inside. The acoustics are extraordinary. And the whole experience lasts 4 minutes. 4 minutes you will not forget. Amalfi and Ravello, the Republic and the Ridge. The town of Amalfi sits at the mouth of the Valle dei Mulini, where a river meets the sea. It is smaller than its name suggests, about 5,000 permanent residents, but it carries its history with a confidence that larger cities might envy. The Cathedral of Sant'Andrea dominates the Piazza del Duomo at the top of 57 steps that rise from the square below. It is a structure of extraordinary ambition, an Arab-Norman facade in white and gray stone, a Romanesque campanile, a Baroque interior, and a crypt holding the relics of St. Andrew the Apostle, brought from Constantinople in 1208. The bronze doors were cast in Constantinople and installed in 1065, making them among the oldest bronze church doors in Italy. The whole building is a record of Amalfi's medieval connections, a port city that absorbed influences from across the Mediterranean and built them into its most sacred structure. The Paper Museum, the Museo della Carta, is one of the coast's most unexpected pleasures. A restored 13th century paper mill demonstrating the ancient craft of handmade paper production using techniques unchanged in 8 centuries. Amalfi paper was once the standard for papal correspondence across Europe. Sit in the Piazza del Duomo in the early evening, the passeggiata hour, when the town comes to life for itself rather than for tourists. Order a coffee. Watch the light shift on the cathedral facade. Listen to the specific sound of that square, the echo of the stone, the bells. This is Amalfi at its most itself. Ravello sits 350 meters above the sea on a ridge between 2 river valleys. Quieter than Positano, less famous than Capri, smaller than Amalfi, and by almost any honest measure the most beautiful place on the entire coast. Villa Simbrone's gardens end at the Terrazza dell'Infinito, the Terrace of Infinity, a belvedere lined with marble busts looking out over a view that drops 350 meters to the sea and extends across the entire arc of the Bay of Salerno. Gore Vidal lived in Ravello for decades and called this the most beautiful view in the world. It is a subjective claim that is very difficult to argue with when you are standing there. Villa Ruffalo contains gardens that have inspired composers since the 19th century. Richard Wagner visited in 1880, stood here, and decided he had found the setting for the second act of Parsifal. The Ravello Festival stages summer concerts in these gardens with that same view behind the orchestra, the sea and the coast, and the late evening light as a backdrop. The most dramatically situated concert venue in Italy. Food, culture, and limoncello. The food of the Amalfi Coast is Campanian cuisine adapted to the specific gifts of this landscape. The sea provides everything: fresh anchovies and sardines, swordfish and sea bream, octopus and sea urchin, clams pulled from the rocks at the water's edge. The mountains provide lemons larger and more fragrant than any grown elsewhere. The Sfusato Amalfitano, a variety protected by IGP certification, whose essential oils are so concentrated that running your thumbnail across the skin releases a scent that fills a room. Cialatielli ai frutti di mare, fresh thick pasta with mixed seafood in white wine, olive oil, garlic, and cherry tomatoes, is the dish most associated with the Amalfi Coast, invented here in the 1970s. Alici di Cetera, the anchovies of the small fishing village of Cetera, are among the most prized in Italy. The village also produces colatura di alici, a fermented anchovy sauce made by packing fresh anchovies in salt for months and collecting the amber liquid that runs from the barrel. A spoonful over pasta with garlic and olive oil is one of the most ancient flavors in Italian cooking, a direct descendant of the Roman condiment garum traded across the empire. Delicia al limone, a dome of sponge cakes soaked in lemon syrup, filled with lemon cream, glazed with more lemon cream, is the dessert of the coast. It looks modest. It tastes like concentrated sunlight. Limoncello is made from sfusato lemon zest, steeped in grain alcohol, sweetened with sugar syrup, served ice cold in frozen glasses. Every family on the coast makes their own version. Every restaurant finishes your meal with a pour without asking. The best limoncello is not sweet in the way commercial versions tend to be. It is intensely lemon, cold enough to numb the lips, with a warmth that starts in the chest and works outward. Drink it slowly. you have nowhere to be. The culture here is Southern Italian, at its most concentrated, loud, warm, family-centered, intensely proud of local tradition. Restaurant owners will tell you what to eat. Fishermen will tell you what was caught this morning. Ceramics makers will explain why their technique differs from the shop 3 doors down and why that matters. Take all of it seriously. These are people who have been doing this for generations. The hidden gem, Cetera and Vietri sul Mare. Most Amalfi Coast visitors stay between Positano and Amalfi, which means the eastern end of the coast, beyond Amalfi Town toward Salerno, remains genuinely quieter. Cetera is a working fishing village of about 2,000 people that has not decided to become a tourist destination. The harbor is full of actual fishing boats. The restaurants serve the actual fish from those boats at prices that make Positano equivalents feel like a misprint. Walk the harbor front in the early morning, and you may see the catch coming in. Wooden boxes of silver fish, fishermen sorting by hand. The smell of the sea mixed with salt and brine. Eat at one of the restaurants directly on the harbor. Order whatever is on the table that day. Vietri sul Mare sits at the coast's eastern end, where the cliffs relent and the town opens above a larger bay. It is the ceramics capital of southern Italy, where the tradition of hand-painted Majolica pottery has been practiced continuously since the 13th century. Every surface in Vietri is decorated. Steps painted in bright geometric patterns, ceramic plaques on every building, fountains tiled in blues and yellows, an entire town committed to color and craft. The workshops, Botteghe Artigiane, are open to visitors, and many will let you watch. Clay thrown on the wheel, painted freehand in traditional patterns, glazed and fired again. Buy something here, not as a souvenir, but as an object of genuine craft that will outlast everything mass-produced you own. These 2 towns together represent the Amalfi Coast before it became the Amalfi Coast, before the photographs and the boutiques and the ferry queues. They are the thing underneath the postcard. Practical tips. Get here by ferry where possible. From Naples, fast ferries reach Positano and Amalfi in under 2 hours, and the approach from the water, watching the buildings materialize on the cliff face as you close in, is worth the ticket price before you even arrive. From Salerno, the eastern gateway to the coast, boats run throughout the day at prices that make the journey feel almost incidental. If you must drive the SS 163, drive it westbound. Eastbound puts you on the cliffside with the drop immediately beside you, and nothing between your window and several hundred meters of open air. If you have any anxiety about heights or narrow roads, take the Cita bus. It exists for good reason, it costs almost nothing, and the driver has done this road 10,000 times. Wear shoes with grip. This sounds obvious until you have spent a day on Positano's stone steps and flat sandals, and your knees begin making a case for reconsideration. The terrain is relentlessly vertical. The stone is often slick from sea spray or morning dew, and the most interesting parts of every town are inevitably up another flight of stairs. The handmade sandals are for evenings on terraces with a glass of something cold. Bring proper footwear for everything else. Get up early. Eat breakfast in the square. Walk the paths before the heat builds and before the crowds arrive. You will see a different place from the one in the photographs, quieter and more real, and it will be better than any photograph you have ever seen of it. The Amalfi Coast has been described so many times, in so many languages, by so many writers and painters and travelers who could not quite find adequate words, that it has accumulated a reputation that should by all rights be impossible to live up to. It lives up to it. The cliffs are exactly as dramatic as advertised. The water is that color, the particular blue-green that appears in photographs and seems exaggerated and is not. The lemons are that fragrant. The kind of fragrant that changes what you think a lemon is. The limoncello is that good when it is poured cold on a warm evening on a terrace above the sea, with the lights of the coast curving away on both sides of you. Go anyway. Climb the steps. Eat the fish. Drink the limoncello slowly. Stand on the terrace of infinity in Ravello until the light goes gold and the shadows of the cypress trees stretch long across the garden, and the boats come back to the harbor far below, and the bells ring in the cathedral you can barely see from up here, but can hear perfectly. Then subscribe, because next week we are going somewhere else in